Hey, good morning. Welcome to the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. We haven't done a Metric Monday in a while. And today, if I don't sneeze, I want to talk about testing metrics. A metric you can use to help promote automation, talk about cost, save yourself some money. I work with a very large company, and they were spending millions of dollars on manual testing and hiring people, and they were just going to be honest with going to India to get people to test their product because it was just getting so expensive, and they were trying to find an expensive way to test their product. Was it helping them a lot? I don't know necessarily, but they were really expanding that activity. One of the things I'm going to show today is how to measure manual and automated tests in a way of promoting spending some money on automations, figuring out what it's really going to cost you in the long run for testing, right? And get a better understanding in it. Without this understanding, you're going to go down a bad path. I mean, it's a scary path. So anyway, it's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a very practical and tactical way. Today, we're going to talk about testing metrics and what you can measure to save some money, bring more value to the customer. Now, work so crazy hard to get that value to the customer and have a little fun along the way. So, today is Monday. It's got to be a short one because I got to go teach kiddos. But I got my little whiteboard. Talk about time and number of tests. And I'm using the black marker because the white marker doesn't really work. I mean, the white marker, the green one doesn't work too well. I have a red marker here somewhere. I thought I saw it. So when you're running a team, you got a sprint and you run so many tests. You write test code, you write test cases for the code you built. Ideally, you would be able to, you want to run those test cases forever. Why forever? Because any level of code you put onto that code base may change the results of the test results. So you kind of want to have a system that measures that. Now, so if I did a bunch of sprints, lots of lines, and my first sprint, I'm going to do some vertical lines for number of tests like that. And let's say the first sprint, we get to the first line, whatever that would be. Okay. The next sprint, we do that many tests, right? We add more tests to it. It's a cumulative function. So the amount of work we originally did in our first sprint is just this little bit of amount. Let's say we increased and we got better at what we're doing, right? It's a little better. But however, even if I were to do the same amount of tests each sprint like that, okay, I still got to do the test from the previous sprint. So in reality, I'm building a cumulative test amount because every time I put new test cases, these are new test cases, right? And new ones. So every one of those is a new test case. In theory, you should run those test cases again as you put new code on, right? So basically, you're going to make sure you don't break the code you wrote, right? So you want to track that. Now, here's where the money comes in the back. So I have two options because this is getting so bigger, and this is what I call the wave. And here's your wave, and here's your little self pulling out money, right? Your miles are just ching money. This is all money. You can't see me do that. Got a little me down here. Got the money. The money is this huge money wave because you're hiring test people. So you have to hire test people to take care of all that work. And if you're on a team, how many people can you put on a team? Then you build a whole test organization that's no longer part of your team that runs your tests, because you can't put all these people in your now these people in these sprints are writing test code and have to explain it to another group of people. So that's even adding more cost. It just goes and goes. I call it the tidal wave of testing, right? It's like a tidal wave. This is like a tidal wave of testing dollars. I'm sorry. What do you mean dollars? Why is everything dollars? Because it is, right? Hi, Bubbles. What's up? You here for the show? Bubbles is here, by the way. She says hi. Um, so you get this tidal wave of dollars, right? So you got to train. You're hiring test people. You got to train other people to run your tests. Or dreaded word, documentation. Right? It's very elementary. It's amazing how many people don't get it. Now, if you now you have to be careful and you have to prioritize. And we'll do another show. And I think I've done way back when about prioritizing these test cases. Which ones do you do, right? So you should automate this, most of this, or half of it, or some of it, or automate as you test, as you write your test cases. You write it in an automated fashion. Most ideal way is that you automate. Some people are like, I can't automate it until I have final product. I know what it is. Yes, you can. But that's another story. That's just an excuse, to be honest with you. You can't do it. There's people who say that don't know about automation, how to do it. The big companies that are like putting out lots of stuff do it all the time. So let's say you pick 50% that you think are critical tasks that could be impacted in the future or critical to your operation. So you say, let's say 50% critical function. Let's automate that. Let's automate those. Don't do everything, right? Just do, I don't know if the pen works. I'm just filling it in. Just see if this works on the screen. May not. So just automate 50% of it. The rest of it, you don't worry about doing what do you want to call it? Testing. You don't need to test it in the future, right? Regression testing. You don't have to regression test that stuff, right? So you automate and turn that into a automated regression test. You have to plan for that. It's going to save you. Think about it in theory. You spend a little bit of money or time to automate half the test or the ones that are really critical. It's going to save you this much for your team. Your team's going to have to go from here, real small down the bottom, to here. If you have the mentality that you have to test everything. So tracking the number of tests and the number of automated tests is a good metric, because then what you can do is you can translate that into savings. If you have to present why we're doing this automation, well, you can say, well, I can get all these tests verified and tested and make sure I don't have any bugs in production, or some future person who integrates my software or something else causes a failure, because I'll have these automated regression tests that we created each and every sprint. It saves us money. And you can extrapolate that. You can, in the beginning, when you do your proposal, say how many test cases you are, how many hours, if you want, it took you to run those tests. Okay. How many percentage of those tests are critical tests that we should run as a team, right? So this is where you're using your brain. And then you can say, okay, if I automate that and it runs it automatically, I might have to update it every once in a while. Let's say I spend 10% of my time on updating that. Compare that 10%, that 50% to what you need critical wise for future testing. It's the difference between having a giant test team and versus a nice small test team that can work with your development team. Think about that. And if you're just doing developers or testers, they would have to do the same thing too. You have to hire more people to test and verify that what you wrote doesn't break everything, right? So don't do it. So use this tracking, track your manual test, track your automation, track your critical tests that you want to turn into regression tests, right? And use those metrics to help you justify automation, justify time spent in automation. It's going to save you a tidal wave of cost in the future. I mean, I tell you, I saw this one big company. They had 40 teams. They had over 100 testers in another separate organization that wasn't even part of the teams to run the automated tests, to design automated tests. And then they didn't have enough to keep up with all the tests everyone's running because they weren't thinking. Anyway, so I hope you have a great day. It's time for me to go see the kiddos. I wish you the best, and I wish you a happy scrumming. See you tomorrow when we 10X and do some growth. And how do we get 2 for 1? Doing something, get twice as much value for the one thing we do, bring in more value to the customer. And with that, sign up for the newsletter and sign up for when you do the newsletter, you get free access to our Slack channel. You just got to say, I want to go on the Slack channel as well. All right. Take care, everyone. Oh, we got a comment before we go. Rob, this discussion very timely. Maybe we're cyclically connected, Rob, and I helped you out there. We'll see. You and I, we need to chat anywhere off the show anyhow. So with that, if you're on the Slack channel, you can always reach out to me. It's probably a lot better than LinkedIn. So as far as getting and asking Azure questions. With that, take care, everyone. See ya. Bye. Happy scrumming. And see you tomorrow. Bye.